The Ukraine crisis has also been a focus of China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi's keynote news conference on the sidelines of Beijing's annual parliament sitting. China is standing firm on opposing sanctions on Russia, saying its friendship with Moscow remains rock solid. But there is also a promise to send aid to Ukraine. For more on China's perspective, Olivia Xiong joins us live. Olivia, we know China is under pressure, but has its position shifted in any way? Will it do more?
Well, we know that Foreign Minister Wang Yi answered multiple questions on the Ukraine issue during this news conference on the sidelines of its annual political meetings. But it would seem that China's position overall has not changed as it chooses to continue to walk this diplomatic tightrope. We do know that China is under growing international pressure to take a stand against Russia's invasion, but so far, we continue to see that China has not condemned Russia's military operation, also refusing to call it an invasion of Ukraine. Instead, today we saw Mr. Wang reiterate that China will make its decision, make an independent judgment of the situation, and there were many complex issues at play that has resulted in this current crisis in Ukraine. Instead, Mr. Wang hit out at the West, saying that the legitimate security interests of all parties need to be respected, adding that the situation needed to be resolved with calmness and rationality rather than adding fuel to the fire. Now, this can be seen as a veiled swipe at the U.S. and its allies, as China has stood with Russia in opposing the expansion of NATO, also as it has spoken out against the use of sanctions against Russia. But at the same time, we have seen China try to distance itself from Russia's military decisions, saying that there needs to be dialogue and for sovereignty, including for Ukraine, needing to be respected as well. So Mr. Wang today outlined two priorities for China, even as there have been calls for China to do more, to play a role as a mediator. Mr. Wang said that China was prepared to continue to play a constructive role to promote dialogue and to work with the international community. He also said that China's Red Cross would be sending a tranche of humanitarian aid to Ukraine as soon as possible, although we don't have any further details on that. But perhaps a sign of the awkward position that China is in, Mr. Wang also came out very strongly to underscore the strong, rock-solid friendship that China has with Russia.
中俄关系发展有着清晰的历史逻辑，具有强大的内生动力。两国人民的友谊坚如磐石，双方的合作前景十分广阔。不管国际风云如何险恶，中俄双方都将保持战略定力，将新时代全面战略协作伙伴关系不断推向前进。
Olivia, you mentioned Minister Wang Yi's swipe at Washington. Now he's called for verbal assurances to be put into practice. What could Mr. Wang be referring to?
Well, here Mr. Wang is referring to what it saw as commitments made by U.S. President Joe Biden when he met Chinese President Xi Jinping in a virtual summit just last year. Top of that issue is over Taiwan, which has been a major sticking point with the two countries. Mr. Wang reiterating that the U.S. has seemed to have gone back on some of its verbal assurances, also taking the opportunity to say that the Ukraine situation is different from Taiwan, given that he said that Taiwan is a purely domestic affair. As we know, Beijing considers Taiwan part of China's territory. And he said that the Ukraine issue, on the other hand, is an issue between two countries. And so, Mr. Wang came out strongly to say that while some countries, referring more than likely to the US, spoke about the sovereignty of Ukraine, they continued to undermine China's sovereignty of Taiwan, calling this a double standard that had been seen.
Thanks for that. Olivia Xiong speaking to us there from Beijing.